everybody, and welcome to a video of Kerbal Space Program. Today I'm going to recreate, or partially recreate, the Perseverance Rover mission that is going to be taking off in a couple of days. I took some liberty in making a couple of changes, and the most important of that is that our rover actually carries 2 Kerbals. So it's a manned mission now. Aside from that, we're still using the Skycrane system, and also we are going to be using a Spacex type of rocket that's going to be able to return the first stage. So as you can see, we are well on our way here. We just had Nico and Fahrenheit separation, and we're just inserting ourselves into a low curving orbit. And now here we have the first stage, opening those aero brake fins and just getting ourselves positioned for a re-entry. As you can see, we're right in the middle of the re-entry. Things are getting pretty hot here. Hopefully it all works out well and we land. Space is hard after all. Got just a little bit of an unstable burn to slow our descent down. But other than that, things are going pretty smooth. And while we're not landing on the barge, we got to land on a little island, and it's kind of scary there. So back to our ship there, we're just doing a correction of orbit just to make sure we're on the same plane as Duna, which is Mars, equivalent to the Kerbal Space Program. And here we are, making a burn to eject ourselves from curving orbit and go on our merry way to Duna. Since we are using pretty powerful engines here, it's a pretty short burn, but most of the video, however, is sped up 4 times to and cut a little bit to shorten it. I will be uploading a longer version of the video that is mostly just sped up but not cut later, if you're curious. As you can see there, we got ourselves a intercepting orbit with Duna. I did have to do a couple of missions in between that I had on the planner there, so this is kind of intercut between cutting back and forth. I had to do, I think, 2 orbital corrections, orbital insertion corrections, I suppose. But anyways, once I got rid of those and I was able to focus on this mission and the 7 minutes of terror, which in our case are not that bad because we do have people in that rover that can take over if things get kind of hairy. We did have a little extra fuel there, and the reason why is because I actually made that transfer stage to be able to take us pretty much anywhere in the system here. We don't have to go to just Duna, so I haven't tested it anywhere else, but well, I haven't tested the transfer module, but it should be able to take us to Lathe, which is one of the places that I want to send the same rover to, since I have a little colony going on there. So now here we're going into our entry burn. As you can see, things were not exactly as stable. I think I needed a couple of RCS thrusters, which I have in my version 2 of this, but it's okay. We actually are kind of using the atmosphere to sort of glide up, which is something that's kind of not exactly how NASA's going to do it. But in our case, it actually helped out to slow down our descent, and we were almost flying for a minute there. And here we got our chutes. The next version, I'm just going to put 1 drogue chute, so it's a little more realistic. Here, I think it's a little bit cheap, because I do lose most of the speed this way. I mean, I can almost pretty much land like this, but, you know, we're going with the Skycrane, because that's pretty cool. So here we're gonna quote-unquote separate a heat shield, or the closest thing, which is pretty much kick everything out of the shell. And here we have our descent ship that can pretty much hover over and bring us down to a low enough altitude where we can go ahead and deploy our Skycrane and lower the rover into the Duna surface. So here we're just getting a little bit lower, controlling our descent. We got plenty of fuel actually, so nothing to worry about there. And something interesting happened here actually. So when I start lowering it, the ship goes up too, as you can see. And that actually kind of makes sense if you think about physics. So I'm interested in how NASA deals with that, actually, as they're lowering the rover. But as you can see there, we have a smooth separation, smoothly putting down the rover on Duna, and now we're just getting the Skycrane out of the way. I do believe NASA just gets it as far away as possible so that any dust kind of doesn't reach the rover, and then they just crash it as far away. Here I try to make a little more of a nice landing, but it didn't quite land on the little crane there, but it's okay. Again, it's not part of the mission to recover that. So now we have a rover, and since I had it there, I thought, you know, why don't do a little quick science on the video? And so I just kind of drove around until I could find a rock that I could analyze, and I was like, oh, that rock looks perfect, and this is now normal speed. And I'm like, oh, that rock looks cool. Let me go back to it. Oh. And there goes the entire mission. That was not planned, so please stand by. Okay, here we just reloaded again. That didn't happen, right? That was just a little dream there. This time we kind of came to a smoother stop. We forgot about the low gravity in Duna. And anyways, just ignoring that happened there, we can go ahead and proceed with our mission, which is to analyze some of these geological samples. So let's go ahead and do some analyzing by shooting lasers and then digging in. A little lag spike there into the search to see if we can find some water and other things in Luna or Mars. And as you can see there, we achieved doing that. So that concludes a successful deployment using a Skycrane off our rover. And this is pretty much the same thing that NASA is going to do with the Skycrane. I mean, except I use, because you know, Kerbal Space Program doesn't have a rope, I use those little telescoping hydraulic cylinder. So that concludes the video. However, actually, I did a little testing before I sent it to Duna, and I thought I'd show that because that's actually kind of cooler looking. So you can see the Skycrane actually works in Kerbin, even with a higher gravity and atmosphere, which makes it easy to send just about anywhere. I don't know if it'll work on Eve, but Lathe is where I'm kind of hoping to send it to. But it should work in Tylo as well. But here's another cool rover release from the Skycrane. This one looks a little cooler because look at that. Damn, that looks cool. And then it flies away. That is how Perseverance is going to be lowered, and that was how Curiosity was lowered, and they did pretty well. So hopefully, you know, fingers crossed, everything goes well in those 7 minutes of terror, and we get Perseverance in February of next year. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.